that is the foundation of the brand, along with our Way by Design, which is our curl system. So we have a wide range of products, and whatever your hair journey is, we have a solution for you.
Fantastic. So this means essentially there is something for absolutely everyone
Yeah.
in your range from
Yes.
design or ranges from
Hmm.
design essentials. Fantastic. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but let's talk about the man himself, the founder, the creator, the innovator of this incredible brand. So Mr. Cornell McBride Sr. won the Lifetime Achievement Award last year, as I
Yes.
mentioned.
Hmm.
So let's have a look at your dad, your father.
Okay.
I would like to thank the Black Beauty and Fashion Award Diaspora 2020 for this prestigious award. Little did I know, almost 50 years ago, I would be receiving an award for something I was so happy to be doing, developing products for my own use as well as for the black hair care industry. While I'm proud of what I have accomplished over the years in this industry, I, as a black American, are thankful for all of the many friends I have made all over the US, the Caribbean, Europe, and of course, the motherland, Africa. It has truly been a rewarding life experience. Lastly, I'm proud of my family for always being at my side and are now charged with carrying on this legacy. Again, I want to thank the Black Beauty and Fashion Award Diaspora 2020 for this prestigious award.
Incredible. So after creating so much and affecting so many lives, your father remains a very humble man.
Yes, it
And
does.
yes, yes. So we are grateful for his contribution and leading the way and inspiring us. So let's talk a little bit about yourself, Cornell. So before you, well, I guess starting out at Design Essentials and being its very first employee. I don't know how old you were, but did you have any other experience of the beauty industry before joining your family business?
No, actually, so when I was speaking earlier, I started off at 8 working at M&M Products Company, and I worked in every department in that company from the age of 8 all the way until when I graduated from high school, which is in 1983. And then I went off to college. And so when I came back, and I graduated in 87, when I came back, they were in the middle of, my father was in the middle in the process of selling M&M Products Company. So there wasn't a need for me to start working there. But at the time, he owned a package store, or we call it a liquor store, or a beverage store. And we
Okay.
had a chain of beauty supply stores. We had five, wait a minute, 10 beauty supply stores. Um,
Wow.
is what we had. And so I was managing that.
Okay. So do you have any idea what it was that inspired your father to enter into the hair and beauty realm of all of the industries
Okay.
acceptable? What was it that brought him to this industry?
Well, I think with any entrepreneur, you have to when you go back to the history and how you get started, they had a product that was they were using just for themselves personally. My father was in pharmacy school. Him and his partner were training to be pharmacists, and his partner had this product that this solution that he had made for himself that is keeping his hair soft. And then what they did, they kind of worked together to refine the formula, and it was just something that they were just kind of using for themselves. And then they gave it to a friend here or there, and people kept coming back, to them asking for some more of this solution. And so at the time, that's not where their mindset was, right? About I'm about to go into this industry. It was like, no, I just have this product that I'm making for myself, and I shared it with a few people. They told me they like it, and then all of a sudden, they're like, oh, we may have something, right? And they realized they did have something. They did actually have a solution. If you think about it, it was a solution at that time where it was something that, was actually detangling and making hair soft, because if you had an afro, you used to wear the hair in braids, then you had to kind of pick it out. In the process, sometimes of picking it out could be very painful, or hair would be tangled. So because they had this product, they had created this product called Stay Soft Fro. The hair was soft. It wasn't as difficult to pick it out. And so that's really how he got started into the business. It all started with something that him and his partner was using just for themselves personally, and people liked it, and so they decided to make a business of it.
Fantastic. This is one thing that we hear a lot. The necessity is a mother of invention, isn't
Yes,
it?
is. Mm-hmm.
And we're starting to see a bit more of innovation and people taking steps to be creators. And we always have done as people in our community. We have always been inventors. We have a long history of inventing, but with the power of the internet, we're able to share more and I guess celebrate and support businesses and entrepreneurs and individuals. So let's turn our hands to what we're here today to do in terms of helping other people. So with the great success that you have amassed through your family business, you guys are worth millions of dollars. You're available in various parts of the world. So you are truly an international company. So how do you manage to create products for different markets? So, some of us watching today will be well aware that the cosmetics industry has various regulations depending on which country you're operating in. So, for instance, before you can sell a product in China, that finished product must be tested on animals. That is a requirement, something that's banned here in the UK and Europe. How are you able to, I guess, produce products for these different markets, and what are the challenges?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to your producing products, you always want to produce it with a standard, right? A standard that will undergo any type of scrutiny. And so, what you do is you find, if you're in a market, let's say like EU or Canada, and then of course in the US, you want to make sure your products will pass the toughest and most stringent regulatory body of the three. And so whichever one has the toughest regulations, then you make sure that your product meet those guidelines, because all the others tend to kind of follow. And so for us, whenever we make a product, or when we are vetting a product or a formula, that's kind of what we start with is, okay, well, which one of our regulatory bodies will question or ask us questions about our formulas? And so once we know that the product it will pass that regulatory body, it's very easy, because now you can sell it across all your markets. And the markets that we're in Caribbean, we're in Europe, and we're in Canada. Those are the primary markets that we operate in. And so what we do is we focus on those regulatory bodies that govern those particular countries to make sure that our products meet their standards. There are other countries that we're not in at this time. And sometimes you're not going to those countries. One, either could be logistic issues. It may not be a strategic fit, or you may not want to kind of just rearrange your products or your formulations or your label compliance, because their regulatory guidelines are a little bit different, right? So that's why when you just don't up and just choose a international market, it has to be what we call a strategic fit, because if it's not a strategic fit, then it will cause you to change how you operate for this particular market. And you do not want to have to change drastically the way you operate your business for a particular market because of their regulatory guidelines.
Okay, fantastic. So hope you guys are taking notes. As I mentioned, this is an opportunity to experience some teachable moments from business veterans who've been doing this for a very long time. So Cornell, you mentioned that your products are available in the Caribbean, in Europe, Canada. So what are the sort of logistical challenges of being able to move your products around? It doesn't sound like it's an easy task.
I mean, all the logistics, depending on the country that you're going in, and the logistic challenges are different, right? Our most recent challenge now would be EU, switching. So if you're shipping in the UK and shipping to EU, now all of a sudden you have separate guidelines. When you're shipping into certain countries in Africa, there's a shipping guideline that's required, and because of those guidelines, it could take 3-4 months for the product to leave, to arrive, and to meet all the necessary requirement. So it really varies from country to country. What you try to do is you try to streamline, even though you have various regulations, you try to streamline your process as much as possible to some standard, and then customize it to that particular market. But the biggest issue is normally is clearing customs and always making sure you have the right documentation, the right paperwork, because if not, when you get into customs, it can get held up. You can experience what you call demurrer charges, where they charge you by the day for the product just kind of sits in the warehouses. So we experience those challenges from time to time. But the key here is that when you go into any international market, you have to understand the regulatory issues, and you definitely have to understand the logistic issues of what's required to ship into that country. And a lot of times, the easiest way is finding the right partner, because if you have the right partner, then that's going to mitigate any type of logistic issues going into that country.
Thank you, Cornell. So when you say finding the right partner, can you elaborate on that for us, please?
Yes, anytime you go into an international market, you could have a strategy like, I want to go into the international market. Then it's like, why? What are your plans when you get there? Okay, I understand my desire when I get there. Then you have to find a distribution partner that aligns with your strategy, right? Not just a distribution partner, right? No, you have to find a distribution partner that fits a certain type of criteria, because you want them to execute according to the strategy that you believe works for the brand. And so you will find a partner with them. You both get understanding of the market. And so you want a partner, of course, that, can manage logistic issues, a partner that has the right level of liquidity, right? Because they have to be able to kind of purchase the product, have the inventory, because it's different. If you think it's going to take 90 days for a product to land in the best case scenario, then that means that that partner of yours has to have the ability, the liquidity to buy a significant amount of product, right? They have to be able to withstand the build or the ramp up, and then have the ability to kind of reorder, because they have the right liquidity, and then of course the right experience, which means they're in the marketplace, they have the right relationships, they understand how the market works, they understand how distribution works in that particular market. And so you'll look for those type of things with that partner, because once you enter into that market, you have to figure out how to work and manage according to the rules within that trade, right? You don't want to, when you try to buck that trade too much, or go outside of the way things are done too much, then it's going to take you a little bit longer. It could be done, but it's going to take a little bit longer. But if that distribution partner is established in the marketplace, they have the right liquidity, they know how to get goods in, they know how to move goods through the distribution channels, then those are the things that you kind of look for first before engaging. So that partnership is key. If you don't have the right partnership, then anything you do after that becomes totally irrelevant.
So that's very interesting, because I was going to ask you, what should a business do to prepare themselves should they want to sell into a new market, a new international market?
Yeah, I mean, at first, if I was to back up a little bit, when it comes to going international, it's what we call, it's a progression. So if we take our business, our first strategy was, all right, we want to dominate the southeast part of the United States, right? That was our entire focus for the first 5 or 10 years. Once we build dominate or build a strong position in the southeast, then we'll slowly go from one geography of the United States to the other until we have full coverage. And then once we have the full coverage, we say, okay, we will start to kind of take on certain international markets. And so we will go from one international market, to the other. But you have to kind of establish a base first, because you have to sustain and have a plan of even going to the international market. Well, how long before that investment in that market takes place or gives you a return? And so for us, we try to use a 3 to 5 year time horizon to project in that particular marketplace, international marketplace, which means, all right, what type of cash or liquidity or investment that I'm going to make over the next 3 years, with understanding we're not getting anything back, right? Which means you're most likely for the first 3 years of that market, you could be either what we call at a negative investment or break even, but you're not yet at a profitable state. Well, in order to sustain all of that, you have to have an existing foundation in place that allow you to sustain that investment into any other market. So for me, before going into the market, it's like, okay, well, where's my business today? What is the investments that's required? And do I have this investment capital sitting here to the side? And will this capital that I have setting aside jeopardize my current business? Does my current business need this capital? No, the current business doesn't need this capital. Okay, great. Then I'm going to take this capital. I'm going to invest it into this international market. By the time I get to year 3 or 4, I'm going to start to get that cash back into my business and return on that capital.
Thank you, Cornell. So speaking of navigating new territories, COVID brought with it unprecedented times and the new ways of doing things. Did COVID have any impact on your business activities in terms of selling internationally? And if so, in what way? And were you able to resolve any of those challenges?
Yeah, I mean, COVID had an impact in regards to disrupting the flow into the market, because in some countries, depending if they were on lockdown or not, and what the lockdown rules were. So lockdown rules are different from each country. And in some countries, we're not even locked down when we were locked down. So it just kind of depends on the market that you're in. And so it varies. But what we even with all of that, right, there was still a need, because during COVID, you have to kind of reposition your business for whatever is taking place at that time. And so we kind of had this event that kind of moved the demand from the business, let's say in the States. It just moved the demand of the business. And we saw in the international market, it moved the demand of the business from brick and mortar to e-commerce and online. And so businesses or distributors that had some type of e-commerce or online infrastructure, they still needed product, right? And so we were able to ship them. And the ones who did not, then their business kind of slowed down. But for the most part, across most of our distributors, they had some form of e-commerce or online infrastructure in place, or not e-commerce, or some form of delivery infrastructure in place. And so for us, we saw a little bit of choppiness in our international markets, but it wasn't as disruptive overall. And I want to say we still ended the international business either at even or a little bit of growth for the year with the disruption.
Excellent. Well, this is one of the reasons why I am also passionate about the beauty industry. It's part of our everyday lives, and from time since immemorial, beauty has been just part of our society. So it's always changing and evolving, and I love to witness the changes and the evolutions that take place, and the new businesses and the ones who are diversifying themselves whilst they cater to our ever-changing beauty needs. So I have another question for you. It's a little bit off the topic of selling internationally, but I'm curious about potential new products. And I would also like to take this opportunity to say that we will have a Q&A session. Now you can see that we have some questions that are arising. Okay. So we will be putting those to you a little later, Cornell. But yes, do tell us, are there anything we can look forward to seeing that's different from Design Essentials?
Yeah, I think as we stated early in the video clip, the goal is really to make it more what we call a beauty brand. A lot of our products focus on hair, but we're moving to solutions that's around skin and body. So one of our collections, which is our skin and scalp collection, really we're moving towards a conversation where, one, you treat your scalp like your skin, and there's a series of products that we've created to help with the skin and with the scalp using natural oils and extracts. So everything in this particular collection are only oils and extracts, But these oil and extracts are common things that we use for home remedies, for our skin and for our scalp. And so we have this solution because now we're starting to venture off to talk about scalp and to talk about skin and body. So at some point, you're starting to see more body type products, will be body creams, body scrubs, and things of that nature. And so that's one of the areas that we're pursuing. Um, Several years ago, we were in the appliance business. We got out of that business, but we're vetting it again to get back in to the appliance business, as another way of kind of opening up the brand or opening up the ecosystem for the brand, because that's something else that kind of complements the purchase of products, beyond just hair. We find that people shopping baskets sometimes entails either some type of hair accessory or hair tool. So that's just like a natural bolt on to the shopping basket. And so we're looking at some of those other segments as well.
Well, that sounds very exciting, considering the quality, the brilliant quality of the hair products that you have been producing since, 50 years now in total. It's a very exciting prospect to imagine holding a body care product from Design Essentials. Maybe you can send some products over for me to test. I'll be more than happy.
Of course. We can do that.
To give you my feedback. So, speaking about creating these products, how do you get the inspiration? How do you know that you finish your product and you have a winning and award-winning product? Because although you have received 2 awards from the Black Beauty and Fashion Awards, I know that these are not the only awards that you have received. This is something that you're accustomed to doing. So how do you know when you have an award-winning product?
But a lot of the product development goes to, it's research, right? And it's market need, right? So you're always trying to solve a problem that you believe exists or build a better mousetrap. But then you have to understand, well, what are the problems or the white spaces that kind of exist in the marketplace? And that's through the research. So we buy research from different companies. We review what we call some point of sales, do some sales analytics, and then we do consumer testing, right? You don't assume that your brand is always great, always perfect. So we have what we call a consumer panel that we do every year that measures the brand itself to have idea what people think about a brand, what they think about the products. And so once you take all of it, it's ongoing. And so you take all this research to kind of determine, all right, well, we need to make this particular product. We believe there's an opportunity based on the research, based on what the consumers are telling us, and then once you do that, you formulate the product, right? And then the product goes through a series of steps and testing, evaluation, and it ends up into the hands of consumers as a white label test, so it's not brand that is Design Essentials. It's just what we call a white label test. Normally it's an A/B test against if the market leader in that space. And so when the consumer gets to receive the 2 products, one is the existing leader in the space, the other is ours. And then we go through a series of tests. And according to the feedback, either we reformulate it and make it better, or the consumer say, yes, this product performs equal to or better than the competing product. And if that's the case, then that's when we introduce the product into the marketplace.
Brilliant. And I'm so happy, Cornell, that you really, one of the things that has stood out through everything you've said today actually is the need for thorough, proper investigations, research to ensure feasibility and viability. There's a number of young entrepreneurs or young businesses rather that start out in the marketplace believing that just because they like a product, it means it's suitable for everyone else.
Right.
It's so important
Yes.
to do that research, to really understand your consumers.
Yes. I mean, research is you have to have, a lot of times entrepreneurs, when you're starting out, a lot of it is guts, it's just instinct. That's what it is. You throw something up against the wall and kind of see if it stick. That's the foundation.
Yeah.
As you work your way through the progression, then you have to refine that, right? Then you want to put research information with your gut and instincts. You want to put the 2 together, right? You
Yeah.
just can't sustain a business just on guts and instinct, right? So what you want always when
Absolutely.
you put together in any decision that you make, you have to have some, you should have some form of research or data points to go along with it, right? And if you're going to expand into international market, if you're going to introduce a new product, if you're going to go into a category, it doesn't matter what it is. You need to have some level of research to align what you believe instinctively you should do, because if not, then what's going to happen is it's going to either take you off into the wrong direction, is it going to take you into an area where you're doing something that doesn't strategically align with, with your overall vision of your brand. You follow me? So those are the things that happens if you don't take the time to do the research, and then you increase the error, you increase the probability of
Mhm.
making an error or a mistake, right? Is what you're
Yeah.
doing when you don't have that additional information.
Yes. So it's all about calculated risks
Yeah.
and research. And quite interestingly, research is in the name of your company, McBride's Research Labs. So the name is on the tin. Brilliant. So in terms of the company itself, you mentioned you're visible in the Caribbean. We have someone that's just said Design Essentials is available in Ghana. We know that you're in these various places. How do you how do you how do you maintain your staff? You've got such a huge um, number of employees, and
Mhm.
ensuring that sort of quality across the board is maintained, because when you're selling internationally, quality assurance, you mentioned that earlier, is key. How do you maintain quality?
I mean, really, you have to always have good people. I mean, any organization is about the people, right? And so, if you build the right team, and you have good people, then you can kind of you can maintain that quality, and quality beyond product, but then also just the values that are important to you as a company, right? And the value and the importance of making sure that your consumer is first and your customer experience is first. And so everything with us is really about the customer experience and the customer journey. But yes, we are selling you products, but most important is, did we help you solve your problem? Did we give you your time back? The biggest thing when it comes to that hair regimen is either how long it takes a decision, how much time it takes, right? To actually do the regimen. Well, if we can help you with one, getting to the decision faster, two, a faster regimen, then we've improved the overall experience. So the experience is beyond product. The experience should be, how are we helping with your time? Are we making things convenient for you? Are you investing your dollars into a company that truly has a purpose, and a company that truly is tied into the community and is trying to do for the community? So for us, is as culturally as a business, we look at things holistically beyond just the product. We look at it as just the overall experience with McBride Research Labs and with Design Essentials. In order to do that, you just have to have a great team, and that we're all aligned on the same vision and mission.
Thank you. Thank you, Cornell. So I know you've been working for the company since you were 8 years of age. So you've grown up with the business.
Yes.
So what would be, I would like to know, what do you feel that you've learned? I mean, you've learned so much, I guess, in the journey, but can you share with us, I guess, what you've learned, and I guess what has been the most valuable lessons working in the family business and working at Design Essentials?
So really, in any business, I think one of the most valuable things is just always creating the right, it's the people and it's the culture, right? Because if you have the right culture, then you have the right mindset in the business, and then that culture and the people become a reflection of the brand in the business, right? So that means when they're coming to work every day, everyone is kind of aligned with this vision and this mission. And then if that's the case, then the people themselves, when the community interacts with the company, it starts to kind of come through. So I think most important in the business is really having the right people and creating the right culture in that business, and just having some real values that important, you know. And for us, it's just around honesty, you know, it's around integrity, and it's around purpose. And so those are the things that we try to kind of drive within the business. And I think it's very important to kind of have that as a foundation.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, as a young 8-year-old boy, you're shown to be quite remarkable because not everybody wants to, number one, join the family business. Number two, once they've joined, commit themselves to the cause.
Mhm.
Thirdly, stick with the company and become the president.
Right.
You know, so you're quite a remarkable human being. And now, as the current president, what are your personal hopes and outlook for the company?
Um, so in the current path that we're on, as we're moving forward, what's really personally important to me is to really build a successful brand on the continent of Africa, right? When we started several years ago, we started with a different idea and a different vision, right? Because I believe that there's a perception that companies or brands have when it comes to going into international markets, especially the continent of Africa. And I felt there's a perception there as well. And within the continent itself, or in the countries, there seems to be
Mhm.
Oh, did we lose connection?
Just for a
We
moment,
good?
we are
Okay. All right.
good. Okay, do
Okay.
continue, Cornell. Thank you.
Yes. And so when we looked at it, we first of all we just saw I see personally just tremendous opportunity. Um, it could be a bias, I don't know, but I think the opportunity is far greater if you could do if to dominate and it's to do well in that continent. We probably could do more there than here, right? I mean, I'm just looking.
No, you're onto something. We have the Black Beauty and Fashion Awards Africa coming next year, and we know that you're going to be part of that. It's evident, but it's
Yeah.
important that we start to look at the continent, change the narrative. We are
Yes.
all descendants. So please, I could go on about that. That's a whole
Right.
nother show.
But no, I mean, I think that is the point. Is so you think about personally, I do want to change the narrative, right? There and here. So I'm probably one of the few within my space to spend much time going back and forth, right? So it's not a bunch of intermediaries going over to Africa. No, I'm there. I'm on the ground, with our customers because you have to know what's going on, especially if it's a long-term part of your strategy. But one of the things in being there is when I look at the offerings, right? The offerings seem to be a very, very inexpensive product, right?
Yeah,
And not a belief in your medium to higher end products, right? So it's like everyone caters to one segment of the market, and that's all that's kind of produced. And the marketplace doesn't realize there are consumers there willing to pay for a different type of product. They're willing to pay more. They're willing to pay for a higher quality of product, right? And so that is not, it doesn't appear to be the mindset because it's like, no, I just want volume. I want to make this product you know, as inexpensive as possible, and I just want volume. Our thought process, no, they're buying that because maybe that's all you're offering, right? Why don't you try offering something where that has that's a little bit more quality, different higher ingredients, and then put the associated price that goes along with it and see what happens, right? And so that was the belief and thought process, and we were able to establish in some markets. Oh, no, there are people in these markets who are willing to kind of pay or who can afford or who have a desire for quality and they have a desire to pay more than what you've been offering before. And so I just believe personally, there's just so much opportunity on the entire continent itself, and so I think personally as an individual, I like to see that part of our business just really explode and grow.
I'm so pleased that you have said that because Black Beauty Communications, we are registered also in West Africa and Nigeria. And we are passionate about elevating manufacturing and production, made in Africa, as well as showing a different narrative. The wonderful thing about beauty, hair, fashion is it's an international language, and we all understand it. And what I've noticed working out there in West Africa, especially, is that we do tend to import a lot of the higher end products. And I won't mention any names as I don't want to advertise. But luxury makeup brands are preferred only because we're not making some of them at home. We're making the mass market products. So there's definitely a room for premium and luxury across the continent. So that sounds very exciting. And even more so because you're a Black-owned business. You're a Black-owned business. And here in the United Kingdom, seeing the Black Lives Matter movement take shape, and certain conversations are starting to arise. Black-owned businesses have been around for a long time. It's not a new phenomenon. It's just now, I guess, we are more visible to people, and people are seeking the information, can now find it. So we are so proud that Design Essentials is founded by Mr. Cornell McBride. It is a family-owned business, and you're flying the flag. So there are younger businesses that will be looking at you today, and we're going to be editing this video and uploading it on our various platforms, so we'll be able to watch time and time again. And so we hope to inspire other people within the business and the sector of hair and beauty. What advice would you give to businesses that are starting out, or entrepreneurs that would like to create a legacy much like your own?
So here we have this story. I don't know if you've heard about the tortoise and the hare, right? And the race.
Yeah.
And the tortoise is just a turtle, and the hare is a rabbit, and they kind of take off in the race. Of course, the rabbit just takes off. It's going to outrun a tortoise all day long. The tortoise is going to plod along nice and slow. Is going to kind of take his time, right? And what I would say, we consider ourselves the tortoise, right? The race is a marathon and it's not a sprint. And along the way of this journey, all of those hares that kind of passed us by, we end up passing them by, and because they're on the road, either exhausted, tired, or whatever, because they were so busy sprinting. You follow me? And so I would say anything that you're building, you have to take your time. It's a foundation. It's not overnight success, right? Anything worth something takes time. If it comes quick, it leaves quick. Simple as that. So you have to really build it brick by brick. You have to take your time, and you work what we call inward outward, which means depending on resource and funds and money. If it means you start in your city, you just start in your city. Dominate your city. Don't move. You go from your city, to your state, to your region, and you kind of build your business that way. And understanding your time horizon for success, right, should not be 12 months, 24 months. If you have a short time horizon, that's wrong. You should have a time horizon that stretches out over 3 to 5 years, and that you kind of, you want to build on that. But if you're thinking of, and if you're motivated by money, and once again, that is wrong, right? Money is just a reward for doing something excellent or doing it well. That's a reward. It is not the strategy. It's not the goal. A lot of time people take money and they take sales and they take those things and it becomes the strategy. Money, sales, those things are not the strategy. No, having a true purpose and a true meaning, right, is the strategy. And then you'll be rewarded with money, and you'll be rewarded with success.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Cornell. Very, very wise words indeed. So you've heard it from the man himself, the president of McBride Research Labs Inc., who are the creators of Design Essentials hair systems. So thank you so much, Cornell. You really shared some insights with us today that are going to help other businesses to level up and move up and progress, as well as sharing a bit more about yourself, you know, the man behind the brand, the mover and shaker, the man making it happen right now. We are honored, we are privileged to hear from you today. And we have a couple of questions that have come through. So from Samar Selby, we have a question. What things should a company be looking for when understanding if a partner aligns with them or not?
I think first and foremost, the partnership is an interview, right? Because this distribution partnership is a relationship. And so you start off with what's important, what you know you want to accomplish with your brand, right? What are the values of your brand, right? And so just as you look for a mate and just have someone to have a relationship with, it's the same thing with a business partner, right? So beyond someone buying and just selling products from you, which you kind of focus on, know, well, what is this person is about? What are their values, right? What is important to them? What motivates them? You need to understand that. So to me, a business partnership is a relationship, right? Because you need the foundation of the business to be beyond just numbers and cents and dollars, right? If it's only numbers, cents, and dollars, then your relationship is going to be rocky, right? Because as soon as the next best dollar or the next best number comes along, you're out of there, right? Somebody's going to leave, right? But if it's based on a shared vision and it's based on something genuine between the two individuals, then it's going to withstand any challenges that takes place in that relationship. So I say, most importantly, you want to make sure whatever your values are, that this person has very similar values to yours.
Thank you very much, Cornell. So we also have a comment too. Coco Pie says that they're learning so much from this. So I'm pleased to hear that. We did say there'll be some teachable moments. Make sure you had your pens and your paper today. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So we have another question. So moments with Norma. Oh, I know this is another fantastic human being. Norma was Birmingham's very first beauty consultant in the United States about 40, 50 years ago. So she's been part of the industry. She's worked with the Afro Hair and Beauty show as well. I'm sure you're familiar with it. So moments of Norma, she says, so building where you are so that you can have good cash flow before you go outside onto the international playing field. I think that was a piece of advice that you gave a little bit earlier, Cornell.
Yes.
Do you have another question, TT? A question from Chantel Daniel. Does Design Essentials invite people who want to learn about the business the opportunity to learn, like internships, apprenticeships, or mentoring?
Yes. So internally, we have different internships depending on departments. So, that's here in the States. We have different ones because it's kind of in the States and it is local. There, from time to time, ironically, when it comes to the level of mentoring, and my father is very big on this. People do not know this. You can call him, right, and he would call you back. If you don't even. It doesn't matter who it is. It could be the competitor, right? And people don't realize that. And so we've always embraced people that have reached out. So people do reach out. They reach out to us with product ideas and concepts. They reach out to us for advice via email. And surprisingly enough, we respond. I have what was the young lady? I can't remember her product. But anyway, she had a product that she was trying to get into. Some scrubs, some salt scrubs. And yeah, she reached out. And what we did with her is she needed some manufacturing. So I gave her some manufacturing connections. Then also she needed some representation in the chain. And I turned her on to a young lady who's a broker in the space, could help her with representation. I turned her on to a couple, as a matter of fact. So to answer your question, people normally reach out and we answer the questions and we help them along the way. And then also when it comes to mentoring, yes, she calls me, she texts me now. So it's just that people reach out and we end up texting and talking, and they ask questions from time to time.
That is brilliant. And I did say during the interview that your father seems like such a humble character, and I can see the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. There's a sense of warmth that
Mm-hmm.
you guys exude through your communications, and it's great. It feels very positive.
Well, it's about helping others, right? Um, this, everybody's going to earn their share, regardless, right? And so within this space, even our competitors, uh, if they reach out to us and ask a question, people don't realize that we'll answer. Like I know them, so but you may not realize that we know one another, and from time to time, they either via email or text, we may ask one another questions, and a lot of times they reach out to me, a competitor, and ask a question, and I give them the answer. One of them was looking for a connection on some supplies or components. And I gave them my connection. I said, "This is where I buy my product in China." I sent the email to that individual
Wow.
to help them out because they needed that, right? And so you have to. Life is like, do you leave this world a better place, right? Um, do you make a difference in someone else's life, right? And how did you do that? You know, and so if you can help someone move along one step further, I just think as human beings we should all do that. And so that's what we believe, as a company. And so whatever it is that you need, we do that. And so a lot of people are surprised, like, like, why would you do that? Why'd you give them that information? I mean, I think you have to have some level of cooperative spirit, in an industry or any space, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and you can't be so afraid of competition, right? If you have built a successful brand and successful product, it's going to be okay. It's going to survive, right? If you believe in, right? I don't have to personally go and try to push my competitor down to be. I don't need to stand on my competitor to be successful. To me, that's not success. I'm only going to stand on my values to be successful and what I believe in, right? To me, that is real success. That is success.
You're absolutely right, and I couldn't agree more with you. There is a narrative that says we don't help each other, we don't support each other, but actually, if you look closely, you'll see that there's a fair few of us, quite a few of us that do.
Yeah, it
So
exists more than what you realize. It does exist.
yes,
Hmm.
absolutely. And
Hmm.
sometimes the narrative is like almost like propaganda to get you believing in a narrative that isn't maybe so real, actually.
Hmm.
I've been very fortunate that most of the people I've encountered have been mostly open for the most part, and
Okay.
vice versa.
Right.
And what you're saying, it really does resonate because Sharon, who's one of your employees, I hope she doesn't mind me mentioning her
Hmm.
name. Sharon speaks so positively of you as an organization.
Well,
She
thank
is genuinely and sincerely proud to work for Design Essentials,
you. Hmm.
and she's truly passionate. So you guys are doing an incredible thing, really. Yes.
Yeah, no, and that team over there, they work hard, and so they once again are very passionate about. It's not just the brand; they're passionate about the industry, right?
Mhm.
And I'm great. They're passionate about the brand, but they are passionate about the industry. You follow
Yeah.
me? And that's when I go back to culture and values, right? You need to kind of love the industry and love what you do first, and then all those other things come along later. But it starts with, personally, what's important to you, and do you really love this industry? And I can say, yeah, they both, Josh and Sharon, they both work very hard for the organization. So I really appreciate both of them.
Thank you, Cornell. So I have another question from
Okay.
Samuel. Question for Cornell: would you consider partnering with an entertainment brand? If yes, what would it look like? And if not, why not? That is an interesting question.
Yeah, I mean, entertain. Well, first of all, just partnering with other peoples are not out of the realm of possibilities, right? Because you just really bringing your two communities uh, together, and so no, it's not out of the realm of possibility. We just always look for fit, and it goes back to the criteria for any type of partnership. Does it fit with what we're trying to do? Do our values kind of align? And if it does, then yeah, we will partner with anyone. so long as it fit what we're trying to do. So yes,
Mhm.
and the entertainment space, we've had a conversation with people in the entertainment space before. We've done some things here or there, so it's not outside the realm of possibility for us.
Okay, well, you heard it from the man himself. It's not outside the realm of possibilities. Anything is possible with design essentials. Taking on new territories, creating new products for new sectors of the market. We are watching it closely. So, we have a question. When building from scratch, how can you build credibility with few resources? I would like to take my interest in coffee into beauty and would love some guidance on this. That's a
Uh,
go
yeah, I
ahead.
mean, yeah, a lot of times when business start out, you are limited with resources, right? Which we definitely understand. And so this goes back to that planning phase that we kind of discussed. Can you build a business with limited resources? Yes, you can. Then your personal needs is like, how much can I cut down with my personal needs and my cost of living? So you want to take your cost of living down as low as possible, because what is always going to be a resource drain on any business starting out is going to be the personal needs of the owner, which is that owner's personal needs for their bills and expenses and things of that nature. So you have to think of it this way. All right, well, what I need to do as a business is, one, take that cost down first. Two, um, can I take and save up enough resources to where that I have my cost of living squared away for 12 months? You follow
Okay.
me? Because I do not need my cost of living trying to take out of the business. I do not need that. So I don't need to take a salary, right? So now, can I save 12 months, 6 months, 18 months of my cost of living, right? So that when I start my business off, right, I'm not concerned. Now, understand, if you have a good plan, a business plan, that business is going to start to generate cash, right, at some point. And if it's generating cash, let's say by the time I get to 12 months, I never took a salary, but the business is generating cash and it could potentially is profitable, then what should happen is the money should be sitting in the bank, right? You should have at that point cash sitting in the bank that will allow you to now incorporate some form of salary for yourself. And hopefully you've got it to the point to where you can start to take that salary. So the biggest thing I would say is that if you start off with zero resources, right, it puts you at a disadvantage, because your time horizon shrinks, right? Because you need the money right away. And then at that point, every decision you make is all about the money, it's all about cash, it's all about sales. No. So all of a sudden now you're off on the right track, right? Versus do I have the cash in my business to take me 12 to 18 months, right? To where I do not need that cash and it can sustain itself. And so then that's all part of that planning process that you have to do before starting out. And whatever that opportunity is, it's going to be there for you. You cannot rush it, right? Because if you
Yeah.
rush it, it becomes a problem down the road, right? So
Yeah.
I think it takes that kind of planning and making sure you have some resources, and you can start with small, right? People start out of their home, people start hustling when they start products in the U.S. Is they sell it online and they sell it at local little markets, right? So every
Mhm.
weekend they take their product and they go out into these markets. So we have these little craft markets all take place in every major city in the US. And I go visit these craft markets, right? Because I go
Okay.
visit craft markets because I'm learning, right? And I'm seeing these young entrepreneurs and I'm seeing their hustle. So much so I'm like, well, maybe I need to bring my product back to the craft market. You follow me?
Yeah.
Because that's where you start to gain that experience and interaction with the customer. And so, but they're doing it as a part time because they have their job. And so you use that job to kind of save your income. You start to generate money at a very low cost base because you're now into these weekends and you're just spending your time selling and hustling at these local shows and you're collecting money at that time. And so for me, those are the two ways in which while you're working, you can build some level of online business, and also you want to go out into your local marketplace and interact. And if there are local craft shows that take place, in your marketplace or local place where you can go and set up a stand and sell, then that's what you should use your weekend time for, right? And if that business is important to you, it's like job, business, the leisure time, all the other stuff depends on the prioritization, right? That means that when I leave that job Monday through Friday, and when that weekend comes, or when I leave that job during the week, what am I going to do with my time, right? Either I'm putting my time into my business to prepare me 12 months, 18 months now I can exit from this business, exit from this job, and do this full time. What to do that? I'm going to hustle in my free time, right? Saturdays, Sundays, evenings. I'm going to figure out how to kind of hustle and sell and promote my business.
Well, thank you so much, Cornell. We've gone over time a little bit. I just couldn't help myself because listening to you and seeing the comments in the chat, it was definitely needed. So I would love to ask you one more question, but we do have time to answer one quick question, and then we will read out some comments. Yeah, Titi, thank you. So the last question of today to Cornell, before we invite Kai from Dubai in, is going to be, Cornell, what are your plans in growing the Africa business, especially Ghana? I think Cornell did mention a bit about that earlier, but do go ahead, please.
Yeah, so depending on the market that we go into, each strategy is different. So I didn't really touch on how we do our business here, but in the U.S., we have what we call our own distribution network, right? Where we have like basically a bunch of Black-owned businesses around the country. They're distribution companies all around, but they only sell design essentials. That's the foundation of our entire company, and people don't even know that these individuals exist, right? And the thing about that is that we were able to, early on, we were empowering individuals to become financially independent. And basically, the harder you work, the more you make. And the money you collect is yours. So when Friday comes, at the end of each day, when you go to the bank, you're depositing your money, and every day you're working for yourself. Now, if you go up and you get up and you go work that day, you eat that day. Very simple. You control your destiny. Well, in Ghana, it's a very similar concept, right? Well, we have an individual in the particular marketplace. Ghana is their market, right? It's up for them to, it's a husband and wife tandem in Ghana, right? And it's up for them to kind of build their distribution in that particular marketplace. So for Ghana, we're doing something a little bit different, where we're trying to help build a distribution franchise for the brand, similar to what we've done here in the United States.
Excellent. Brilliant. I'm excited. And I guess everyone here has been very keen and listening with a very keen ear, I should say, rather. There's lots of positive comments. I would just like to read a few of them out, please, Titi.
Okay.
Oh, this is a quick. So being based in the UK, we miss quite a lot of opportunities. Should we all move to the US? It does feel like that. A lot of our stars, whether they're in TV, for example, have had to move to the States to actually blow up. Idris Elba comes to mind, and a couple of groups, music artists also. Next comment, please. In the room with some legends, Session Tell. So amazing to meet you all, and massive kudos to Moments with Norma. We have another comment, please, Titi. From Grace Abamba. Grace says, sharing and standing in common values whilst lifting up one another resonates so well. Thanks, Cornell. And Rhoda, Marshall, and I are the owners of Inasi Naturals, a small Black-owned natural hair care brand based in Chicago area. Are you available as an advisor? We could certainly use your help. Yes. So like Mr. Cornell said earlier, they do respond to inquiries, but don't all reach out at once.
I did actually. She's in Chicago, right? You reach out, you send an email, and we do respond.
Excellent. So yeah, so guys, get online, look for Design Essentials, make that contact. Would you like to share any social media or contact for the people that are watching today, possibly Cornell?
I would. Yeah, I do have Instagram. Now you
Okay.
want to, you have to, you know, it's
So you
like,
can
do you know
find
your
Design
handles?
Essentials, and not your personal details, of
Uh,
course. But
yeah, so I do
yeah,
have Instagram, I have LinkedIn and Facebook. I'm not the most active social media person out there.
of course
So
you're too busy,
I do
Cornell.
get
You're the
DMs.
president.
Yeah, I do get DMs on the Instagram, and when I go out there, actually, I do respond to all of my DMs in Instagram. But it could be 2 or 3 weeks because, you know, I'm not out there every day.
Of course, you are a president of a multinational company. So I'm surprised that you had time to join us today. And
No,
we are so grateful. So in case any of you were not able to attend the Black Beauty and Fashion Awards Diaspora 2020, which took place in October, and President Mr. Cornell McBride of McBride Research Labs, creators of Design Essentials, were awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award for their contribution to the industry. And they also won Best Male Grooming Products for hair care the previous year. We have one last comment, and then I will leave Cornell to leave a message, a parting message for us all before we speak to Kai from Dubai. So Black Economics TV says, well done on what your family have achieved. Also glad to hear you have inroads into the Ghana market. The whole of Africa is there for the taking. So thank you from Black TV Economics, or Black Economics TV rather. So Cornell, thank you so much for your
thank you.
time this morning. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you and getting to know you better, as well as Design Essentials, and sharing your knowledge on selling in international markets. You've helped everybody here today and the people who will watch this video after today's recording. I pass over to you the floor to leave us with a parting message.
Well, first of all, I would just like to thank everyone. I really enjoyed this today and having this conversation. And a couple of things I just want to share. I do believe there's a tremendous amount of opportunity on the continent of Africa, and I look forward to doing business there. But it's not really about the business. It's about how can I go there and how can we go there and reinvest, and how can we go there and make a difference? Everything kind of starts and finishes with a purpose in mind. And if you're waking up every day doing the things that you're most passionate about, then every day you're kind of waking up happy. Every day you're waking up with joy, and you do not have a job because you're definitely doing something that you're passionate about. So I would just kind of stress to everyone, if you truly, whatever you're doing from a business standpoint, make sure you're focused on the purpose and what you're trying to accomplish in life. And then if you do that, you will definitely be rewarded. Thanks.
My microphone is muted. So thank you so much,
Thank you.
Cornell. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I hope that maybe we might be able to do this again. Perhaps we may organize a masterclass of some sort going forward. But again, I cannot thank you enough, and do have a wonderful day, and send our regards to your father, Mr. Cornell McBride Sr., please.
Okay, will do. All right.
Very
Thanks.
best. Bye.
Bye.
So, ladies and gentlemen, look at that. What a fantastic insight we received from Mr. Cornell McBride, who is the president of Design Essentials, owned by McBride Research Labs Inc., based in Atlanta in the United States. So it's been a great start to the business of beauty. We have a number of people waiting to ask questions. So again, this is a day for teachable moments. If you haven't grabbed your paper and pen yet, now is the time. We're about to introduce our next guest, who goes by the name of Kai Charles. Just to give you a little bit of a background or an insight into Kai Charles. So Kai is the owner of Black Girl in Dubai, which is a Black-owned business based in the United Arab Emirates. Black Girl in Dubai is a Black Beauty and Fashion Awards winner. They won the highly commended Business Awards for 2020. So let us welcome Kai Charles. Sorry, Kai, your microphone was muted just then. Welcome. How are you doing today?
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm really enjoying this so far. It's been very insightful hearing all about everything Cornell had to share. And yeah, just excited to be on and share some more, because I know it's very different being here compared to obviously being in the UK. So yeah, just excited. Thanks for having me.
No, you're welcome. We're just so pleased that you could join us today. So first of all, what time is it where you are?
Now it's 8:20 in the evening. So for the UK, it's after 5 for you, but it's 3 hours ahead on summertime hours. When the clocks go back, it will be 4 hours. But yeah, at the moment, it's 8:20.
Okay. Now, I am Nigerian. Not by birth, by heritage, but you know, I always claim my roots. Now, I have been to Nigeria. Specifically, the last time I went to Nigeria was in a place called Abuja. It's extremely hot. But I've heard that Dubai is even hotter. Tell us, how are you coping?
Yes, actually today it is, I think about, well, now it's 36 degrees, and that is in the evening. So it was probably about 40 plus earlier in the day. When the sun goes down in the summer, it's still very humid outside. So the air's a little bit moist, and it almost feels like you're sweating when you haven't been sweating, if that makes sense. And you do start to sweat very quickly, because the air is quite, it's just moist. Winter time, it does get to about maybe like 23 degrees as like the mid temperatures of the day. But it's nice. You get a summer breeze, and it's just, I don't know, you just become accustomed to it, I guess. I think a lot of people now tend to go out in the evenings instead of the daytime, and stay out of the sun. So yeah, that's a tactic to avoid it.
I could genuinely see why. So how long have you been in Dubai, Kai?
So it's been 4.5 years now, actually, and it's gone very quickly, as many people who have been here and stay here will tell you. But it's been a fantastic roller coaster, and I've learned and grown so much in that space of time as well.
Okay. Well, so Kai, as I mentioned in your introduction, you are a award winner from the Black Beauty and Fashion Awards, so yes, for 2021 or 2020, sorry. So excellent.
It made it to be safe and sound. Thank you so much.
Oh, fantastic. From all the way in Dubai, isn't that something? So Kai, for those who weren't able to watch the show last year, let's play your acceptance speech.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Kai. I'm the founder of Black Girl in Dubai, the #1 community hub listing over 100 Black businesses here in the UAE. I want to say a massive thank you and just accept this award. It is such an honor. When I first came out to Dubai, it was so hard to find Black businesses with products and services suitable for people that look like you and me. And so I became obsessed and on a mission to find and discover and then share those businesses, and that is how Black Girl in Dubai was born. So I want to say thank you and accept the support on behalf of the community.
Fantastic. Brings back fond memories, even for me. What a beautiful backdrop. So what part of Dubai was that taken from?
So Dubai has a few man-made islands, and that one is called the Palm Jumeirah. It's literally in the shape of a palm tree. So if you're flying in on a plane or doing any sort of activities from above, like skydiving, you can see the palm shape that it's made out of. And in the background behind me is a very famous hotel by the name of the Atlantis Hotel. They have one here and different places around the world. But yeah, that's the Atlantis that has the beautiful backdrop behind me. So yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant, Kai. So today, as you know, we're talking about selling in international markets. So of course, you were based here in London before you transitioned and relocated to the Middle East. First of all, what sort of led you over to Dubai? And actually, were you planning to stay in Dubai, or was there another part of the Middle East that interested you?
No, so I'd come to Dubai maybe about 10 years ago for the first time, and then literally kept on dreaming and reminiscing about it ever since. Going to the States or going to Europe or anywhere else on a family holiday or a trip with my girls was great, but I never ever wanted to stay there. It was literally a holiday and I'd want to go back home. Coming to Dubai for me was a little bit of everything. So you would get America, you'd get European stuff, you'd get just, yeah, there was just a whole mix. And having great weather, people speaking English, but you're not quite, it's not the UK. And there were just so many things that for me were really attractive. And I could actually see myself out of many destinations that I traveled to living here. So after about 5-6 years, I finally built up the courage to just move. I had moved a couple of times in the UK, and I just thought, if I move again, what's the point in moving across London? I might as well move countries and work in the sun. That was originally my idea. I thought, if I can, work and, get some good money and build towards some of the other ideas and dreams that I had, why not do that whilst being in the sun for a year or two? And that's probably the story that a lot of people tell you, doing a year, and a year becomes 10 years quite easily overnight. So, yeah.
So you're currently in Dubai, and you have established yourself as a businesswoman there.
Yes.
Tell us about the challenges. And tell us a little bit about the business. We'll go into a bit more detail about that. But yes, you established Black Girl in Dubai. Tell us a bit about that and the challenges.
So when I first came here, I'm actually a creative as well as a businesswoman. So I originally came and freelanced as a musician. So I was singing and gigging in bands. And that was my main focus, to be honest. So my first year, I had a lot of people that I knew and met and connected, but mainly in the music industry. And that's, as I said, just I came with my head down, and that was my main focus. So a lot of people will sort of do the whole city life, the brunches and all that kind of stuff, which I could do, but I wasn't really focused on that. But in doing that, it meant that I was only pretty much spending a lot of time with the few friends that I did make within music. I actually already had a cousin here at the time, and I moved with a cousin. So I was just a homebody, learning songs, rehearsing with my band, and then doing my gigs. And I was pretty much earning a good wage from doing a few gigs a week compared to working a full-time or even part-time job in the UK, where I balanced music with a part-time business and also a part-time job. So I came across a lot of people similar to myself who had moved over, had been there for a year, 2 years, or however long, and just couldn't find Black products or Black businesses to cater to just everyday needs. And in the beginning, it was okay because I traveled to the UK 3 or 4 times in my first year. But my second year, I think I only returned home once or maybe twice. But during that time, I really missed my home comforts. And I'd actually started to build up a really good network of friends or people that I just came by. I'd talk to whoever and be like, hey, how you doing? Like, where'd you get that from? I'm looking for it as well, kind of thing. And there's a massive African community here as well. A lot of Africans directly from Africa, compared to my experience in the UK of meeting, say, Nigerians or Somalians or Ghanaians, but pretty much born and bred in the UK or had moved over at a young age and obviously now live a London or British lifestyle. So meeting a lot of different Kenyans or Ethiopians or Eritreans in Dubai, I was curious. And obviously we're all looking for the same thing, black hair products or skincare or whatever. And actually I started learning from some of the other sisters in communities, because they would tell me how they would mix stuff and put it on their face for their hair masks and things that they did as traditions back home. So everyone pretty much had some sort of solution. But I just thought, like, there's got to be some businesses here. So as soon as I started finding a few, like a really good hair salon or a barbershop, I would tell everyone. And that is pretty much how Black Girl in Dubai was birthed, because the minute I started, connecting the dots and realizing I knew a lot of salons, or I knew quite a few barbershops, or I knew where to get planting from, some people just like me. And they're like, where'd you get it from? And I'm like, I found it here. And I mean, when you know where they are and stuff like that, you find lots of them. But when you don't know and you're not making the right connections, a lot of people just come to work, do whatever on the weekend, and the cycle repeats. So I just thought putting the website together would be an easier way to sort of spread the information and have it as like a directory that people can go and obviously find whatever they're looking for and support Black businesses.
Brilliant. Being the only Black girl in my street in Scotland, you did bring back some fond memories.
You just want something that's so simple, and you ask like the local shop owner and they have no clue what you're talking about, but you're like, it's got a blue label and it's just, it's just not working.
As yellowy as plantain is, it starts to look like real gold. It's worth its weight in gold. This is a slice of plantain.
Exactly. So, and that's the thing here. Some of the shops that I would find it in, they don't call it plantain anyway. They call it Indian banana. And there actually is a small, tiny banana, which is banana. Yeah. But when they call it Indian banana, between the two, I mean, when I first came here, I wasn't great at distinguishing between an actual banana and plantain. So I'd be in the shop like looking and being like, no, this is plantain. Yeah, it looks like plantain, it smells like plantain. So this is plantain, and be like, Indian banana? No, plantain. So it was my early journeys and funny stories.
Excellent. So let's get down to the business side of things. So, you're set up, you're a Black girl in Dubai, you're a million miles from home, you're sweating, you've got something finally. So for businesses that are relocating, or for people that are transitioning relocating and want to transition their business ultimately to a new region possibly, or who want to found a business in that region, what can they expect to achieve, or not achieve, but experience rather, sort of coming into this new terrain, besides, the lack of plantain or the heat, in terms of setting up your business, how easy or how difficult is that?
On the one hand, I would say it can be quite easy depending on what industry and activities you want to go into. For food, for example, or obviously something like beauty, where you're going to be using skin products or hair products in certain people, just like I suppose in other regions, there are regulations and checks that you need to go through. So it's not just like some people do. And sometimes it's obviously imported, it's not made here. But if you were to be making something from scratch, you'd need to kind of go through a few regulations here. And that comes along with obviously added costs, as well as setting up an actual trade license that covers that legally. So there are different entities, just like in the UK, obviously, whether you want to be, it's not called sole trader here, but whether you wanted to be an independent sole trader, like the UK, or you wanted to have a partnership or an organization, there are different formats and formalities that you can register under. Some starting out very, very cheap. And if you're going to be doing it on a low level part-time basis, you can get a license for, I don't know, let's say, I'm trying to do the conversion here, about £400-500. And that's low level in the sense of working your way up to what a standard license, and that's about, I'm thinking about dirhams here, so 1,000-2,000 dirhams. If you're going into something that requires you to have a physical office, something that requires you to have a physical space. Again, I'm using restaurants as an example, but yeah, you need to have a physical shop for a restaurant. Then that requires a license that's a lot more expensive. So we're now talking 20, 30,000 dirhams upwards, and that's about 6,000, 7,000 pounds. And those licenses are annual fees. So thinking back to the UK, much like your TV license that you've got to renew every year, there isn't sort of like a one size fits all. I think obviously when you're in the UK, you can register on Companies House, and obviously you do your accounts every year. You've got your accountant, and there are certain costs that go along with that. But in terms of actually setting up and registering your business, in comparison, the fees are a lot lower to register a business. And once you've registered with, Companies House and HMRC for tax purposes, you don't have very high annual costs to run that. The costs that are potentially higher are the ones directly associated with your actual business, whether you're going to be doing hair or fashion or beauty or whatever. So yeah, I think some people coming here don't realize how expensive it is to set up just to have a standard piece of paper to say you're allowed to trade. That also goes along with having to set up a bank account and those restrictions and stuff. But on the flip side, not to sound like it's impossible, it's definitely doable. There are so many people who come here from all parts of the world, whether it's the UK, the US, Nigeria, Kenya, and everything in between. And it's a real melting pot of, business owners. I can count so many different nationalities, because a lot of people do find ways to come here, whether they've got savings from back home or they work a full-time job here and they start a business on the side. Whatever it takes to set up that business and that industry that they're in, they do it and they make it happen, Yes. And I think there are so many different communities here that there is room for everybody. It's not the crabs in a barrel mentality that I think some people are used to wherever they are. And I love UK, I love London, and that's where all my people are. But I definitely think there's still a bit of a lag in terms of just supporting each other and coming together. Here in the UAE, a lot of people they want to help, they want to support. A massive amount of people here are expats, aka immigrants, basically. So not born and raised here, not Emirati, not a local, but you're from wherever you're from, you've moved here and you're starting up from scratch, So in Dubai alone, the population is about 80-20, and 20% are the locals, Arabs, and then the 80% are expats.
Okay.
Yes.
So one of the things that we've heard, like I said, it can be quite challenging. So relocating and setting up your business there, and of course, it's a melting pot, lots of different cultures. There was something that I heard maybe several years ago, whereby it was basically what they were saying was that Dubai seems more open to other ethnic minorities, in the sense that sometimes in other parts of the world, there's a lot of focus on skin color and ethnicity, but that the likes of Dubai are very much focused on developing the area. Ultimately, they're very new. So their economy is new, and they want to expedite things as quickly as possible. So as long as you're talented and you have something to contribute, and help to elevate Dubai, is that the kind of feeling that you get being there?
Definitely. I think Dubai is only going to be 50 years old, or should I say the UAE? The UAE is only going to be 50 years old this December. So it's very new in comparison to most other countries. And obviously, Dubai itself is not the capital, but it's one of the Emirates / cities. And I think a lot of people get it confused because they compare it to, New York or London or some of these very, very developed and established places that have had their own culture and their own systems going for a lot longer than, the UAE. But it's definitely the place of tolerance. And that is something that the Dubai ruler prides himself on, including a lot of people from all different types of nationalities. And it's a place that, even if that wasn't the case, I think getting here, not knowing anyone, but just wanting to make new friends, Dubai is probably one of the most diverse places I've been. London is diverse, but nowhere near as diverse as coming here and experiencing so many different cultures, living and working together. So it is definitely very open, and the Year of Tolerance was celebrated, I believe, last year or the year before, where that was an actual theme for the year, you know, tolerating lots of different cultures, lots of different people, lots of different languages, and unite as one.
It doesn't sound like there's tolerating and then there's embracing. I guess
I know what you mean. I know what
semantics,
you
I
mean.
guess.
It was more in the sense that, you know, as you said, when the year that I moved was 2017, and that was literally the week where it was Trump's inauguration. And so around the world, everyone was talking about this, what was he doing? That whole travel ban that started with the presidency.
Yeah.
And it was the odd thing because, of course, America and UK and everyone is talking about this whole Trump thing. And everyone's here just like, say what? Like, no one in the UAE is going to tell you to get out. This is our country. Like, I've never heard that in my entire life. However, being from the UK and obviously being British, born and raised, having that passport, it's something that can be said flippantly by anyone at any time in 2021. Like the football just the other day is a prime example of that kind of stuff happening. But here in the UAE, it's kind of a bubble, to be honest, because that doesn't really happen here, and no one just turns around and says to anyone, go back to your country. Like, sorry, what? Like, we're here building this country up. Like, and it's not a hidden thing. It's not a, do you know what I mean? Whereas in the UK, it's, it is what it is.
It's stealth mode in the UK. So are there any incentives that are provided by the local government or to businesses that wish to maybe enter into the UAE markets?
You know what, I'm going to be honest with you. There have been, especially with COVID, there have been some boosts that were enabling, because of course, to stable out the economy and the losses and stuff during the lockdown, there were different stimuluses that were injected into businesses, or even certain reliefs. So for example, business rents were reduced, and there were certain stimulus packages that were kind of going into certain organizations that would ease, for example, the renewal fees of setting up your license or renewing your license. So there were several things like that, even, you know, with mortgages and loan repayments and things. There were lots of different initiatives, not necessarily on an individual side, but on a business side, there were things that could help. After that period, if I'm honest with you, I don't know if there's been anything that's more recent from sort of last March, April, May kind of times. But generally, there are many things that are attracting individuals and businesses here. For example, getting into property. They have new visas. I believe it's like a 10-year visa, which used to be unheard of, to be honest with you. There is also a freelance visa. I personally don't have that particular one, but I do know a few people who came from the UK and set up a business or set up shop here because there was a new freelance visa that if you were, I believe, from the UK or the US or wherever, and you earned a certain amount and could prove that with your paperwork, then you could have a 1-year visa here and work from the UAE. So there are different initiatives. I think even for pensioners as well, there's a couple of schemes going to attract people to come here and just see what opportunities they can leverage.
Fantastic. That is good news for those who are interested or looking at that region as a valuable place to live and work. So bearing in mind everything that you've just said, we hear a lot about cultural differences. We as Brits, we are very, I guess, free. That would be the word that I would use. And we hear things through the news and various other media outlets that culture is something that we should possibly be mindful of. Are there cultural differences in Dubai that people that are based here that want to do business there should take into consideration that could affect their business?
Yes, I mean, like with any new territory that you go to, you have to get used to the market and the way that people do things. One thing here, for example, the currency is dirhams, or AED, and because there are so many different people here, and myself, I'm obviously used to dealing with things in pounds, but because it is very, very global, Dubai actually had, I don't know if it's still current now, obviously with the pandemic, but Dubai had the busiest airport in the world. So not Heathrow, not Gatwick, not JFK, Dubai. So there are so many different business and I suppose just domestic trips that happen through that airport on a daily, weekly and monthly basis, that dollars are a very common currency here. Not necessarily used in like shops and stuff like that, but in terms of doing business deals and speaking to people or even paying for things in dollars, there are quite a lot of merchants who would use that on their website, because unfortunately things like PayPal, which of course is global, or Stripe as payment gateways, don't deal in dirhams. Not entirely sure why. I think it's probably to do with the banking system here, and obviously whatever regulations, PayPal need and the UAE need. So it tends to be dollars that's used a lot here for online transactions, for example. And again, coming from the UK, I'm not used to that, because I'm like, why isn't it in pounds? Or dealing with dirhams, by card or cash or check, which is still a thing here as well. Usually checks only used for rent though. So if you're having a property or paying for certain things in a large amount, you may do business with checks, because checks are, I mean, obviously check can bounce, but checks are you giving someone your paper word and them it being upheld, obviously, for that amount with the bank. So checks are still a thing, but if not, then people do use US dollars quite a lot. And that's also pegged, I think it's something like 3.5 US dollars to the dirham, and that is a fixed rate. I could be wrong, but I don't know the exact amount, but it's a fixed rate, and that kind of keeps a lot of business transactions consistent as well. So for anyone coming to do that, I think it would be definitely worth you looking into what it would be like to set up your business and maybe using dirhams and dollars, and what that would even look like.
Thank you. So, this might be a little controversial, but, the name Hush Puppy is sort of coming to mind. I was never a follower, I'll just put that out there. But, his name made headlines around the world, and being someone from the African community, and being of Nigerian heritage myself, one did feel they identified, with some of the, some of the comments that were happening at the time. When we have things like this that become sensationalized and become international news, sometimes it can make us as people feel a little anxious, possibly, or a little wary about how we might be perceived coming into that territory after such scandals have taken place, and there was talks about maybe banning certain flights and people from different areas and things like that. Are there any challenges faced by Black businesses that are especially unique to them that you have noticed or identified?
So Hush Puppy, I think, is a completely different and unique situation. Obviously, that was on such a grand and ridiculous scale that catching him and arresting him was obviously made public, and he was pretty much made an example of. The ramifications of what he was doing had to have been huge because of what was going on. On the flip side, there have kind of been trickling down ramifications of that, but for the most part, I think for Black businesses on a whole, it's still been overall positive. I don't really think that's had a direct impact, if I'm personally honest. Just because here there is such a massive positive response to lots of different people wanting to know more about African businesses and the African diaspora in many different respects, whether it's been before the Black Lives Matter movement or after. People have just been intrigued here to know more about Black people. I often get asked on a daily basis, if there are Black people in the UK? And it sounds like a bit of a ridiculous question, but actually some of the people that I meet here have never traveled Western. You know, they've come from Asia or they've come from Africa, and their experience of British people don't look like us. And their experience of Black people are most likely American, you know, and that's the question I get asked all the time, like, you American? I'm like, no, this is a UK accent, you know. But yeah, for someone who has never been there and watches TV or movies, that's their context, you know. So I've kind of grown to not judge and just allow them to ask questions and stuff like that. But I think the reception is often, especially because I'm Jamaican. So when I say I'm Jamaican, there's such fascination, like, wow, Jamaican, like,
Marley.
yeah, Bob Marley. Sometimes I say Usain Bolt, depending on how old or young the person is, they know what I'm talking about. If not, they don't. But people are fascinated with people from the Caribbean. You know, they kind of want to know, how did you get to Dubai all the way from Jamaica or all the way from the UK, you know? And I think overall, I mean, it depends who you're speaking to. Obviously, some who have traveled and been around the world, of course, they kind of know, but others who haven't are generally curious and they want to support Black and African businesses. You know, I think where the struggle actually is in our own community, knowing that we exist, and our own community supporting each other. Because if we can spread the word, have the exposure, it doesn't have to only be Black people that support you, obviously. But if you're looking for shea butter, if you're looking for, you know, planting, if you're looking for someone to do Afro hair, we can avoid the disaster stories that go round of going to the wrong hairdresser or the wrong barbershop or whatever it may be. And just connect people to, you know, a Black lawyer or a Black accountant or whatever it is that they're looking for that can understand their personal and cultural needs, which, you know, is sometimes the barrier here.
And I think that is the key here. It's not so much about identifying people by skin color. It's about understanding that they may understand your needs. Of course, we're not all the same, but the certain experiences that we have that it's easier for us to understand ourselves than it would be for maybe some of a different ethnic group to really understand the nuance and some of the issues. So Kai, in terms of, so you have Black Girl in Dubai, it's a business directory. So you have lots of businesses that you're working with. Are there any businesses from your experience that tend to thrive in Dubai over others? Just in case there's some businesses or people that are thinking about creating a business for that area. Of course, they will do their own research, do their feasibility and viability, but are on the ground, are there certain businesses that you know are sort of winning formulas?
Honestly, I would say hair. I think that's probably the same for anywhere. You know, women spend on their hair and nails, and to be honest with you, there are a lot here, but there's probably still not enough. Dubai in the UAE was once a desert. So the way that it's being built up now, I would say transport wise, for some areas, you kind of pretty much have to drive, or you're restricted to some degree for what you can and can't do in the vicinity you can walk to or use public transport. The public transport system is there, but it's not as developed as, let's say, London is, you know. So getting around can be a little bit of a challenge at times, but it's not impossible. And so I think hair salons and barbershops, the key things that people want for basic self-care or for doing a little bit of glam and taking care of themselves tend to be so popular, because I find people just want someone to take care of them and feel like it's not ridiculously expensive, or that they're going to look different to how they normally look and feel, you know.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Kai, because you may not be aware, but just very recently, the British Beauty Council announced, alongside Habia, the beauty, governing body, essentially, they have introduced Afro hair education into the colleges and the universities, under the understanding that for a very long time we have been turned away from salons, high street salons, being told that we don't care for Afro hair, we don't know how to wash it, we don't know how to comb it or plait it or dry it. And so now they're introducing this into the curriculum, which is a very interesting time, actually. We're glad that some of these advances have been made. But there's also, I guess, a knock-on effect to the businesses that have been working to fill the gap. So it's an interesting time to see how that pans out. In terms of, you said we need more hair beauty businesses in the region. Are we looking at sort of what type of business? Would it be luxury, premium, high-end? What sort of businesses do you think we have room for in Dubai? It's synonymous with luxury and opulence, but is that the type of salons that are required?
Well, first of all, that news is fantastic because, yeah, we need so much more Afro hair care that's out there. I think there's a great array of products. You can't get them everywhere potentially, but in terms of having the right care, it can obviously stop you from doing anything at all and not caring for your hair if you can't find the right professional to look after it for you. So that's brilliant news. Secondly, I'd say every range. You know, I think Dubai can be expensive at times, but it doesn't have to be. And if you know the right places to go to, then you can definitely find affordable everyday services. And there are everyday people who are just normal working class. So I think having some of the regular affordable services just for basic stuff, you know, wash and blow dry, braiding, etc. I do find braiding tends to be more expensive than London anyway. Not unachievable, but it depends what end of the spectrum you're at. If you're a working professional on a higher salary, then it's nothing. But if you're an average person on a lower salary, and some of the service-based workers here, for example, some of those services are just unaffordable and unrealistic. So I would definitely say having more of the lower end would be great. And luxury is always welcomed as well, because that is definitely Dubai, isn't it?
Yes.
But at the moment, it kind of seems that a lot of the lower end ones tend to be in the old side of Dubai, which sometimes is where the people that need that community actually live. But it actually means that if you're anywhere else outside of those areas, you have quite a long travel distance just to go and get your hair done. And it might only be a wash and blow dry, but you don't want to travel 2 hours there and 2 hours back. Yeah. So yeah, I say all that to say, I know some people who literally were doing those journeys for like locks in, for example. You know, if you don't find an amazing loctician or somebody who's really taking care of your locks, they can easily, you know, fall out of sync. And when you find a good loctician, I know some people who were literally doing 2-hour trips to go to, not even Dubai, they were going to another state, Sharjah, bus and metro and all sorts just to get their hair, you know, retwisted and stuff. So the things you do for hair.
Tell me about it.
It's needed. It's needed.
So we have 5 minutes left of our event, The Business of Beauty. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. I have if we can squeeze in 2 more questions, you can answer them quite quickly and maybe take some comments, or if anyone has any questions. So you have your business directory. It's thriving, it's bursting at the seams. So what are the requirements for businesses to actually join your listing of Black Girl in Dubai? How do people get on Black Girl in Dubai?
So Black Girl in Dubai, we pretty much support all Black owned businesses, and in saying that, there's been quite a few who have tried to get on there who are not Black owned, and I do understand, because they cater to our market and they also want to be in front of my audience. However, we do require that it is at least 50% Black owned. Most of them are, you know, we speak to the founders, or I've personally met them and know them, but for the best part, we want to have a Black owner involved. And then just be active in trading. To be honest with you, the requirements aren't really too stringent at this point. I think we're just about building the community to come together and share with a lot of others, because so many people have no idea that there are even 100 existing businesses. There are actually a lot more than that. So the directory is definitely growing. But anytime I say 100, people are like, really? And yeah, that's literally the tip of the iceberg. So it's made easily accessible on purpose so that people can find it, share it, and there are additional things. So it's free to list at the moment, but the more that you require on your listing page, there is an additional fee, and of course advertising. So yeah.
Fantastic. So you heard it there. So if you are in the area, please do reach out to Black Girl in Dubai. Is it only for girls? Can boys join too?
No, it's actually called Black Girl in Dubai. It's a community hub. So we promote all activities that go on in the community. It's not just for women, but it's actually called that for the simple fact that if you empower a woman, then you pretty much empower the village, you empower the community. And so it could have been called something like Black in Dubai, or Black whatever, or not even be called that as such. But the name itself has been very intentional to include the word Black. And it's not just for females at all, it's for everyone. But I find, which is what naturally happens, is you tell a girl or a woman or a wife and that husband,
and you told the village. Absolutely.
Taken care of, So that being said, I mean, people always remember the name, it sticks. And I always get this question and it's a great talking point. But, honestly, I just think once you empower the women, then everything else takes care of itself. And that's what the page, primarily on Instagram, if you follow it, there's a lot of empowering messages on there. And in between those empowering messages are the events, are the networking things that's happening, are the radio stations, are the brands that are launching, are the salons. Everything is in the mix of that. And it's really about the community. It's not about a girl. It's not a blog. It's sharing information.
Well, you are definitely living up to that. I'm proud to say, actually, that a business was nominated from Dubai. It was a streetwear brand. Finchitua is the name, actually. And they came through your business directory. So you're doing amazing things. You're helping to change lives and elevate people and businesses in Dubai. And we salute you. So please, Kai, do continue the fantastic work. You have 1 minute left. I'd like to give the floor to you to send out a parting message, please.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been amazing. I really do cherish this. It's fantastic to have. If you live or are traveling to Dubai or know anyone that is, blackgirlindubai.com and Black Girl in Dubai on Instagram is a fantastic place to check out Black-owned businesses, whether it's a salon, a restaurant, a cafe, a fashion designer. There are so many amazing businesses here, and you can discover so much and keep supporting the community and share with others. You don't have to be Black to shop there, but if you want to experience Black and African culture from authentic vendors, then you can do that. And there's many ways to support. I will show you one of the cards that we often have at our events, where we encourage people to support Black businesses by making a purchase, a referral, following their page, leaving a comment or review, and sharing their comments, with others. So please, there are many ways to do it. And Black Girl in Dubai is just the starting point to do that here. So hopefully we can stay in touch. And if you are here and you want to be listed, then drop us an email or on Instagram, and we'll get you listed.
Thank you so much, Kai. Please, before you go, please share with us your contact details on Instagram, Facebook. What is the best way to connect with Black Girl in Dubai?
Yeah, just along the bottom here, Black Girl in Dubai on Instagram. My personal one, I am simply Kai, or blackgirlindubai.com. If you want to drop an email, it's hey, Hey, hey at blackgirlindubai.com.
Thank you so much, Kai. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking.
Thank you. And thanks for putting this on. It's been really insightful. And I'm so happy that I could hear about all the amazing things that Cornell was talking about with a huge Black-owned business in the States. We need more of that.
We do indeed. And we're so pleased that we're able to speak to him and also the likes of yourself, Kai. So thank you once again. Thank you to all of our viewers today. I hope you've taken lots of notes down. It's been very informative. Next week, we have Decoding Sustainable Fashion, and we will be speaking to Della, who has worked with everybody from, well, the people that made Diana's wedding dress, she's worked with. The people that made Marilyn Monroe's outfits, she's worked with. Gucci, Prada, Tommy Hilfiger, Rihanna, Beyoncé, you name it. This woman has done it. So she will be decoding sustainable fashion next week alongside Victoria Grace Fashion. So once again, let's just thank Kai for joining us this evening, sharing her knowledge and insights about the Dubai marketplace. And if you need any of her support, just reach out to her on the information that she sent out to you. Do take care, everybody, and I look forward to seeing you all next week with another 2 or 3 of our award winners. So guys, so this was our first installment in the 4-part series, The Business of Beauty. As you know, we are celebrating our award winners from the Black Beauty and Fashion Awards Diaspora 2020, and we are talking about all things business. So always ensure to make sure you have your pens and your notepads, because you will definitely find some teachable moments. You have a wonderful evening. Until next week.